Keir Starmer and lying is a match made in heaven. Over 100 days in, I don't know what to say or believe when something comes out the guy's mouth. Today was Prime Minister's questions, and guys, he lied again and got caught out. Let's watch the fiery interaction and see how the nation has reacted. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. So, during Prime Minister questions, Rishi Sunak asks Keir Starmer why he has halted the foreign influence registration scheme. Have a watch.
Now, the last government also established a new system of registration and monitoring to protect the UK from interference from foreign states, including China, Russia and Iran. Called the Foreign Influence Registration Scheme, it was described as essential by MI5 in the fight to help keep Britain safe. But since the Prime Minister took office, he has halted its implementation. Why?
That isn't correct.
Yeah, well, Mr. Speaker, that is very clearly what the government has said. And only last week he said at the dispatch box that he would give the security forces the powers they need. And if he is going to fulfil that promise, I would urge him to get up to speed on this issue and therefore implement the scheme. Furthermore, Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee have warned that British universities are increasingly a rich feeding ground for China to exert political influence over us. That's why we passed the Freedom of Speech Act with new powers to help defend universities from this threat, but the new Education Secretary has since blocked it. So can the Prime Minister tell us how, without this tool, the government will prevent Chinese influence over our universities?
I really don't think party political points on security and intelligence. Honestly, throughout the last Parliament, we stood with the government on all questions of security and intelligence because it was important to the outside world that we did so. I worked with the security and intelligence services for 5 years prosecuting cases. I know firsthand the work that they do as a lawyer. I've known firsthand the work they do as the Prime Minister. We support them in everything that we do, and he knows.
This is big fat lie, and Labour did in fact halt the scheme. This is how people have reacted online, Lee said. He just lied to Parliament. Once again, we are expected to ignore the evidence of our own eyes and ears. Hugely concerning. Ross said, I worked with the security services is becoming as iconic as my dad was a toolmaker. This clown has no idea how to keep this country safe. Him, Lammy, Rayner and Cooper are all national security risks. Andrew said, if it isn't correct, why hasn't it been implemented? The reply at PMQ with a simple, isn't correct questions. The PM integrity and thought he campaigned on country before party. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. In other news, the Home Office is looking for even more hotel spaces to house illegal migrants after a recent surge in small boat channel crossings, sources have confirmed. Just 4 days ago, we exclusively revealed how an average of 135 small boat migrants had crossed over into the UK on each of Labour's first 100 days in office. That followed the news at the start of this month that across 250 British hotels, some 30,000 migrants are being put up at Britain's expense to the tune of £4.2 million every day. Despite their pledge to clear an asylum backlog, Labour has pledged to restore order to the system, and the Home Office has said the same again today. A department spokesman said on Wednesday that the government is determined to restore order to the asylum system so that it operates swiftly, firmly, and fairly. He continued, we are committed to speeding up the asylum process and have taken urgent action to restart processing and clear the backlog, which will save an estimated £7 billion for the taxpayer over the next 10 years. The government has begun delivering a major surge in immigration enforcement and returns activity to remove people with no right to be in the UK and ensure the rules are respected and enforced. When pressed on reports that it was seeking fresh hotel space for the thousands of illegal migrants, the Home Office refused to comment. But then, sources confirmed to British Stand that the department was indeed looking for more spaces up and down the country. The hotels, some of which leave their new residents feeling like kings, have sparked concern in the past, with then Tory MP Jonathan Gullis warning GB News that terror groups viewed some as recruiting grounds. And today's news immediately attracted ire from Migration Watch UK chairman Alt Mehmet, who told the department's silence earlier today was no surprise. He told the People's Channel, Labour have now learned two things: that the flow of illegal immigration, including small boats, will go on getting worse, and that their plans stand no chance of working. In fact, their threats to smash the gangs has probably encouraged the traffickers, because they know that the new government is clueless about how to tackle the problem, ours, not the traffickers. Labour's own manifesto had vowed to end asylum hotels altogether, but since coming to power, Cooper and other ministers have realised that slashing the backlog will take much longer than previously thought, The Times reported. In response, Labour blamed its predecessors, with one-party source telling GB News, "We have inherited a completely failed immigration system from the Tories, including spending over £700 million on Rwanda, and gimmicks that didn't work. We're working on clearing down the backlog they left behind after years of just doing nothing." Lastly, King Charles received a hand-knitted cake last month to mark 10 years of his charity's textile education programmes. The monarch was pictured smiling when the woolen-knitted sweet treat was presented to him in Ayrshire, Scotland. The two-tier cake was knitted in colour and featured decorations, including candles and piping. Future Textiles, set up in 2014 by the King's Foundation, celebrated a decade of support. 7,000 people have benefited through education and training to address the gap in the UK textiles industry. The Textile Education Programme runs projects in collaboration with high-profile brands and firms such as Chanel and Net-a-Porter. Members of Knitwise, sessions run by Future Textiles to develop locally based high-skilled hand knitters, hosted their annual graduation event at its Dumfries House headquarters, where they presented the King with the unique celebratory cake. An exhibition at the Garrison Chapel in London, which regularly hosts showcases by foundation students, also marked the anniversary, with the cake on public display. A range of garments made by alumni over the last 10 years were also on display for the public. The scheme also includes the 10-month Paid Modern Artisan Initiative, which allows fashion and textile graduates to design and make a sustainable, luxury line of outfits using heritage skills for the Ukes Net-a-Porter for the King's Foundation label. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.